Bye. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and I'm from Greenfirm. Welcome to our channel. No, not channel, sorry. I'm having too many games over here. But today we are marking the World Environmental Day. And as environmental experts and people who are passionate about the environment, we saw it fit to have a webinar where we'll have different conversations on various aspects of the environment to raise our voices and concerns regarding the environment and how we can create our awareness in our communities in regards to protecting and conserving the environment. So I will give 1 minute to each panelist to introduce themselves, and maybe they can also share their thoughts on World Environmental Day. Over to you, Edith.
Hi, thank you, Rebecca. My name is Edith, as you have rightly put it. I am a member of Greenfirm, and my thoughts on World Environmental Day. It's a day that comes every year to just serve as a gentle reminder that we are faithful stewards of this environment. I like that every year the theme is different. Sometimes on sustainable consumption or marine pollution or air pollution. These are the things that we need to really rethink as humans living under a common home.
Thank you so much, Edith, for that, and also reminding us that this World Environmental Day, each year it's different. Each year we have a different theme. Last year, I remember some of us here may not have participated, well, physically, so to speak, but the theme was around beating pollution, beating plastic pollution. And in Kenya, some of us have had, we have cast, we have blessed the idea of not having plastics in our supermarkets. Maybe Kahaso can tell us her experience when it came to the plastic ban. What were your thoughts on it, even as you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Kahaso and I'm also a member of Greenfirm. So when it first came, there are those two sides. One, you're an environmentalist, you're like, yeah. Then this other one, you're like, wow, 10 bob for a paper bag, and you used to give me for free. So yeah, it has its good sides, and it also had its bad sides. But yeah, I embraced it. I think we are heading to a good direction. Yeah.
It's good. That's really good. Rukia, people are raising their voices for nature. Which voice are you raising this World Environmental Day?
Thanks, Rebecca. So my name is Rukia, and I'm also a team member of the Greenfirm team. I guess the good thing about the World Environmental Day is it just gives a nice platform where, like, whether you're an environmentalist, a lawyer, someone who has business, is doing business, or a guy who's just like throwing plastics out of the window, you'd actually have to acknowledge that this day is specifically for the environment. You might even feel guilty throwing a plastic on that day. So in terms of raising my voice, I think it's just trying to find spaces where people who are like-minded and have similar concerns about the environment can speak. So mainly I'd be on Twitter ranting over there, or you find me on Instagram on my stories. But yeah, as in whichever place you can, or even the house, like you find someone like wasting tissues, you make some noise. But yeah, it's a nice day to just acknowledge that every little thing that you do somehow counts.
Yeah, it's really good. And also like the way you have also raised the idea that the reality is this year is different from all the years we've had when it comes to celebrating the World Environmental Day. Everyone is at home, and the reality is we cannot, go all together and plant a tree somewhere in a forest conservative, or we can gather in a particular area and we share and raise our voices in the different aspects of nature and of course the environment. Edith, I'm curious, maybe you can let us know what other platforms can people use in order to still participate actively, though from home, when it comes to marking the World Environmental Day.
Thank you. Great question. I think the one big learning curve for many of us this period of social distancing or working from home has been to really use technology to be able to reach out, to be able to speak out, to be able to have meetings or conferences that are vital to our work or our survival in the terms of World Environmental Day. And so I believe social media or digital media at large provides a very ample opportunity or ample space for people to do their advocacy for the environment.
That's really good. Going back to the digital space, I remember we had a conversation a while back, a few minutes ago, and we're just sharing, before we went on air, sharing our experiences when it comes to challenges. And one of us talked about people having a plant parent, or during your birthday, taking up a challenge to plant a tree. I don't know, what are your thoughts? Maybe Rukia and Kahaso, you can share. Would you participate in such a thing as an individual, or coerce your family members to mark your birthday by buying you a flower which you can plant? Either of you can go ahead.
Cool, I can take it on temporarily. Then I'll pass it over to my dear sister Kahaso. So it's funny though, like, who doesn't want to be a parent without the stress of having to like clean up spit and vomit and clean clothes? So it's a nice way to just make someone very responsible, and also just take care of someone bigger than themselves. I personally like love having a pet, so I feel like to be a nice way to from just having a dog, having a plant that I'm having and saying, this is my parent, I'm the parent to this plant somehow, and its survival depends on me. It's a good lesson to teach anyone, to be honest, and it's a good practice also if you have kids, for them to have like a responsibility away from themselves. I guess those would be my few thoughts on this. Curious to hear what Kahaso would like to say.
Yeah, I would definitely participate, and I'll make sure that everyone in my family plants a tree, because in the long run it will benefit all of us. Even maybe let's say like we won't like sit under the shade on a tree, but maybe your child will come and say, this is the tree that so and so like it. So yeah, definitely I'd participate in such a challenge.
I think what I'm hearing us sharing so far, in terms of course, taking part in the digital campaigns that are ongoing during this World Environmental Day, it still goes back to the idea that, yes, we have a common goal, which is to raise our voices for nature. And the second thing is that we have a responsibility, and taking up challenges such as having, being a plant parent, or making sure on a particular day you are either taking care of nature, you can adopt. I've had the celebs doing that, like adopting a particular animal or whatever. I think that is the little way that we can still raise our voices. And numerous examples of people who have done that, and it has worked for many communities. So even as we shift gears now back to what we are talking about, raising our voices for nature. And of course, raising our voices for nature has not come without its own share of challenges. Maybe one of us can, I'll take it over to Edith. What are some of the challenges that you have observed in the environmental sector when it comes to protecting and conserving the environment?
Thank you. That is a good question, Rebecca. There are so many challenges that environmentalists face, even in their day-to-day work. Maybe one of them that I can highlight is that there is repetitive efforts. So there's a lot of us in this field, and many of us are just trying to do right by the environment. So some of our efforts can be sometimes repetitive. And the other issue that I have observed is there's a lot of, how do I put this kindly? So there's a lot of science involved in the environmental space, and sometimes people do not understand, even up to the nitty-gritties of climate change, for example. If this could be broken down, to the person who has not really learned environmental education, if they could have this broken down, perhaps we would have more of them joining us in advocacy or in mitigation efforts that we try to advocate that they take. So yeah, I think there's a lot of complicated lingo around it, So I wish that we could take the time to explain to others so that they also join in this course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edith. I think that's a very good observation. I think one of the things that we always face, like for us, even in this webinar, if I was to ask what's environment in your local language, like not Kiswahili, not French, not English, in your vernacular, would you be able to say environment is da 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 in your vernacular in a manner that someone in your village would be able to understand? I don't want to open that box because it will be a big one. So I will spare us the agony of trying to figure out what environment is, but maybe it's a good challenge for us as environmentalists. Even you, our listener who's watching us or listening to us, something that we need to think about as scientists, as people who are experts. How can we make sure the language we use, the kind of tools we provide is something that can be absorbed by our communities, because we want them to still have a voice when it comes to conserving the environment. Well, maybe I'll ask Kahaso, in the wake of COVID-19, I'm sure you had your thoughts on how we can still speak in one voice in terms of making a voice for nature. So what would be your advice to young people who are listening to us when it comes to participating in the World Environmental Day in 2020?
Thank you, Rebecca. I'd say like the small things count. You don't have to do, or you go picking litter in a whole stadium or something like that. Just spending let's say like 30 minutes, just go around your compound, just your compound, you just see if there's plastic, you pick it, put in the dustbin. It's just the small things that count. And I think those small things result to a bigger change. So yeah, I'd advise someone to take up that challenge. Go pick up the litter in your compound. And yeah, you can, yeah.
That's really true. That's good. It's the little things that make the difference. I think we've had this slogan a while back, think locally. Is it act locally or think locally? Rukia, do you know that slogan? Is it think locally or act?
Think globally.
I think global, act local.
Yes. Think local and act global.
Think global, act local. I don't know.
I think, yeah, whichever way it goes, it still makes sense. Whether you're thinking globally and you're acting locally, you still know that even though your effort may seem very minimal at the moment, you're still adding your voice for nature in that particular aspect. I'm reminded of the story of the late Wangari Maathai, and she shares the story of the hummingbird, that little bird that was still able to make a small difference. If we take our small efforts that we are making right now as environmentalists, even today with this webinar we have, it may not seem much. We do not have a big conference as we would have wanted to, or our capacity may not even allow us to have that, especially in communities where we may not have the luxury of having internet or a network. The best you can have is to buy bundles, for instance. But in your own little way, you can still add your voice for nature. So even as I know we have very little time, we'll be winding up. Maybe I'll ask the panelists to share a little bit of their story when it comes to the environment and a few things that they are passionate about, which will help us in the next series of our webinar. Hopefully you'll still log in our second part of this webinar, which is to raise our voices for nature. It is time for nature, it is time for biodiversity. I'll start with Edith. You can start us off.
Yeah, thank you. For me, my vision is to see a world that is, fed. My passion really is here in Africa. Africa has been depicted as the land of the hungry. So we have, so many people showing Africa as, having malnourished children. I would like to change that. To showcase the landscapes of Africa as, providing food and food that is enough for this population. So for me, really, my passion is in food security, and that's really why I'm in this environmental space. Food security, all the way, really. How can we sustain agricultural practices to feed an ever-increasing world. The numbers are not reducing. The numbers keep rising. So what can we do to ensure that there's food for everyone? Yeah.
Wow, I like that. It's about making sure that we change the narrative for our people, change the narrative for our continent, for our countries, because people keep on telling their story about us. It's not the same. But if it's us who are taking it upon ourselves to change the narrative, and not only the narrative, but even the action, because we understand the landscape, then it makes a big difference. Maybe Kahaso, you can share with us something that you're passionate about when it comes to the environment, and feel free to share your thoughts also on the same.
Okay, thank you. So I'm I'm passionate about wildlife, both terrestrial, both marine. They both like touch that place in your heart. So yeah, and my dream is coexisting. Let me say that, because we are greedy beings. So the moment, that time where we will reach, and we wouldn't want to excessively destroy biodiversity. That's where I am looking forward to. Yeah.
I like how you have brought the futuristic thing about biodiversity and moving away from what has been the norm, where it's always the norm to hear about human-wildlife conflict, or you hear someone a community has encroached, or someone has encroached into biodiversity spaces. So we want to change that narrative, and it's good that we are all thinking about the future and how we want that to look like coexistence. I like that word, coexistence. Rukia, over to you.
Yeah, I love that word, coexistence, as well. And just referring to my colleague Edith as well, about how we need an Africa that's fed. Yeah, so changing that narrative is very crucial. And I'm really glad I'm in the panelist of people who are so passionate about what they do. For me, I come from a small town in Kenya, Mombasa, where we're surrounded by huge, vast ocean. But the common misconception is, you have the ocean, you should have water to drink, right? But actually, that's not the reality of the case. And so my passion has always been around water and access to water when it comes to either just household or industries, and even just looking at just developments that are putting a strain on existing water resources in Kenya. Considering that, and I'll be a bit cliche by saying water is life. So without water, to be honest, what else can move? So yeah, that'll be my take on this right now. Over to you.
I think we can all appreciate that, in as much as we have a common voice, it's time for nature, we still have various aspects of nature that touch or strike a different nerve on us. We've heard from Edith, she's passionate about food security. From Kahaso, she's passionate about wildlife management, and Rukia on water management. And I think in one of my lectures back in the day, I had one of my professors saying that if we do not have the issue on water security, it probably will be the next war that we will fight. And the reality, for example, in our country, we have water boots. We still have people, even though we have, rainfall, we are not, so to speak, we are not a country where water resources are scarce, but on the ground, on the households, it's actually very scarce. People do not have drinking water. And it's nice that we can have this conversation today. And we are actually planning to have the next series of the webinar. And hopefully you can tune in to find out more from our panelists, what we can do when it comes to these different thematic areas. As the moderator, I still have I have more airtime. I can share with you my story from now to the next 24 hours. Hopefully you can listen. But jokes aside, but for myself, I'm passionate about environmental legislation. I've been keen on just taking note on the progress we have made as a country when it came to having a legislation that not only mentioned the environmental management, but actually we had actionable points and the trajectory to change the narrative on environmental management. For a long time, we would have thrown the card of colonialists, they're the ones who did that. But I think now that we are 57 years of independence, it's high time that we styled up. It's high time that we took note of those, policies we have set in place when it comes to environmental management and implement them. So thank you so much, our dear listener or viewer, and we shall be able to talk more in the next webinar series. Join us, share, and feel free to raise your voice for nature. Thank you very much. Maybe the panelists can wave or say bye. I don't know if that's natural for webinars, but yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.